Have you ever been the person everyone calls when something goes wrong? The one who always picks up the phone? The one who listens for hours? The one who drops everything to help? And yet, when you were struggling, when you needed someone the most, nobody seemed to notice. A lot of us spend years believing that being needed means being loved. I used to think that too. It feels good when people rely on you. It makes you feel important, like you matter. But here's the hard truth. Being needed and being loved are not the same thing. Sometimes people aren't holding on to you because they care about you. They're holding on because of what you do for them. And that's a painful thing to realize. Today's story from Quiet Growth Lab is about a woman who spent most of her life giving everything she had to others. What she discovered changed the way she saw love, friendship, and even herself. Maybe it'll change the way you see your own relationships too. Mara lived in a small village where everyone knew her name. Not because she was rich, not because she was famous. People knew Mara because she was always there. If a neighbor needed help, Mara showed up. If an elderly person was lonely, Mara sat with them. If a child needed someone to watch over them, Mara stepped in without hesitation. Helping people wasn't something she did once in a while. It was simply who she was. Most days, she put everyone else's needs ahead of her own. And honestly, she didn't think much about it. Seeing other people happy made her feel useful. It made her feel like she was doing something right. Over time, that became part of her identity. She believed her value came from what she could give. The more people needed her, the more important she felt. And if we're being honest, a lot of good-hearted people live exactly the same way. They become the helper, the fixer, the person everyone depends on. But after a while, something strange happens. You get so busy taking care of everyone else that you stop paying attention to yourself. You stop asking what you need. You stop noticing how tired you are. And little by little, your whole life starts revolving around other people's problems. That was Mara's life. She gave her time. She gave her energy. She gave her heart. And she never stopped to ask whether anyone was doing the same for her. Mara's husband, Edric, wasn't a bad man. When life was going well, he was warm, kind, and easy to be around. But when things got difficult, he disappeared into himself. He stopped talking. He stopped sharing. And somehow, Mara always became the one carrying the emotional weight of the relationship. Then there was her lifelong friend, Selah. Whenever Selah had a problem, she came straight to Mara. She talked about her marriage, her worries, her mistakes, her frustrations. Mara listened every single time. But whenever Mara needed someone to talk to, the conversation somehow drifted back to Selah again. And then there was Dora, a young man Mara cared about deeply. He needed advice. He needed money. He needed support. And Mara always gave it, again and again. Looking from the outside, it seemed like Mara was surrounded by people. But the truth was different. People knew what Mara could do for them. Very few people actually knew Mara. They saw her kindness. They saw her generosity. They saw her willingness to help. But they rarely stopped to see the person behind all that giving. And that's what made it so painful. Because Mara kept pouring into everyone else's life, while almost nobody stopped to ask what was happening in hers. Then something happened that Mara never saw coming. She got sick. Nothing life-threatening, but serious enough that she had to stay in bed for 2 weeks. For the first time in years, she couldn't help anyone. She couldn't run errands. She couldn't solve problems. She couldn't be the person everyone depended on. And that's when she noticed something. The neighbors she had helped so many times barely showed up. Days passed, then more days. Almost nobody checked in. Selah came by once. She brought a small gift. sat down, and within minutes started talking about her own problems again. Before Mara knew it, she was back in the familiar role of listening while someone else unloaded their life onto her. Doran never came at all. Not once. Not even a quick visit. Not even a message asking how she was doing. Edric tried to help around the house, but there was something in the way he spoke. Something in the way he sighed. He never said it directly, but Mara could feel it. Taking care of everything had always been her job. Now that she couldn't do it, the burden had landed on him. Lying there day after day, staring at the ceiling, Mara had a realization she couldn't ignore. It hurt, but it was honest. For years, she thought people loved her because of who she was. Now she wasn't so sure. Maybe what they loved was what she gave. Maybe what they missed wasn't Mara. Maybe it was the help. And once that thought entered her mind, she couldn't unsee it. Sometimes the hardest lessons are also the simplest. During those quiet days, Mara finally understood something she had never fully seen before. Real love stays. It stays when you're tired. It stays when you're struggling. It stays when you have nothing left to offer. Being used is different. People show up when they need advice, when they need support, when they need someone to carry their problems. But when the roles are reversed, they're nowhere to be found. That realization could have made Mara bitter. Instead, it made her wiser. She decided she would still be kind. She would still help people. That part of her wasn't going to change. But she was done helping out of guilt. Done helping because she was afraid people might leave. Done saying yes when she wanted to say no. Done carrying responsibility for everyone's happiness. One morning, after she recovered, Mara walked into her garden. The plants were dry. Weeds had taken over. The place looked neglected, a lot like her. She knelt down and started pulling weeds. Then she turned the soil. Then she planted new seeds. It wasn't really about the garden. For the first time in a very long time, Mara was putting energy back into her own life. Not because someone needed her to, not because someone asked, simply because she mattered too. And honestly, that's a lesson many of us spend years trying to learn. After Mara changed, something unexpected happened. Not overnight, not all at once, but little by little, things started to feel different. For the first time, her friendship with Sella felt real. They actually listened to each other. It wasn't just one person talking and the other carrying the weight. Edric changed too. Once Mara stopped doing everything automatically, he began paying attention in ways he hadn't before. He started asking how she was feeling, what she was thinking, what she needed, and Doran grew up. He learned that caring about someone isn't just taking, it's showing up when it matters. But maybe the biggest change was this. Mara finally noticed the people who had quietly cared about her all along. The people who never demanded much. The people who stayed, even when they needed nothing from her. And I think that's the lesson here. If you're always the one giving, always the one helping, always the one holding everything together, ask yourself one honest question. If you had nothing left to give tomorrow, who would still be there? Because the people who truly love you aren't the people who need you the most. They're the people who choose you. Not for your advice, not for your help, not for what you can do, just for you. And that's the kind of love worth holding on to. If this story spoke to you, take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who may need to hear it, and subscribe to Quiet Growth Lab. We share stories that help us understand ourselves, build healthier relationships, and grow into stronger, happier versions of who we are. We'd love to have you with us for the next story. Thank you for spending these few minutes with us today. Take care of yourself, value your own worth, and never forget that the right people will love you for who you are, not just for what you give. We'll see you in the next story.